Okay, today we are going to mechanically put an M35 clutch together and on the frame. We have already went through all the holes. We took all the paint that's left over, retapped everything. So this frame is ready to go, and all of this right here that you see is going to go on the frame. We do start with square bearing. And where we're going to put that is right over here. If you come over, Carlos. We're going to put that.
What kind of bolts are you using?
These are the 7/16 bolts, which we do have over there. And we're going to put the bearing. You can see how it has 3 holes. Take this off. It has 3 sets right here because you're going to have a set of bearings here. We're starting with the middle one, the center hole. I'm going to put these on first. Lock washers go on next.
What kind of lock washers? 7/16?
7/16 lock washers.
And
then you got 7/16 nuts. They go on. Just snug these up for right now. Just hand tight will do the trick. And get all 4 of these on. Next, what we are going to do, we are going to put the clutch, which we already assembled the entire clutch. We are going to install this. All you do is you put it in here, line it up with the bearing, and it goes right in. Next, what we do, we have the handle. Do not forget the handle. Cannot tell you how many times that has happened. I've only done it once. And believe me, when you have to tear it back down to put the handle on, you will only do it once. Then we put, this is the pillow block right here. You have 2 brake straps that's welded to the pillow block. You also have pillow block bearing. That's going to fit onto the back. Now when I install these, you can see how on the ring you have the set screws. I like having the set screws on the inside, because any time that you have to go out in the field, you got to take these off. When you set the set screws, you will make on the shaft, you will make a little divot. I would rather have to pull it off and have that divot just do a little bit of damage than completely, as you can see, it's that thick, and have the damage go all the way through. So it's, to me, it has always been better to set it like this. Once when you set the pillow block bearing, slide in the pillow block, and what you're going to do is the 2 holes, line everything up for you to put 1/2 inch by 4 inch bolts on there. We put 2 washers on, they are acting as spacers. You do not want the bolt to go all the way through the frame, because the stand, when this sits on there, that will hit the stand. If that hits the stand, you're going to have a serious leveling problem. So we use 2 washers, 1/2 inch washers, on the 1/2 inch by 4 inch bolt. I always go and just snug them up with a 3/4 inch wrench. Just snug it down, then I back it off, because you will be moving this, all of the components, you will be moving them, because you have to line everything up. And that's what we are going to be doing next. Yeah. Okay, and now snug up, just loosen them up. Okay, next you want to do is you're going to want to back the entire shaft up. You want to have this gap in here. Reason being is you are going to be using a square. This is a perfect 90-degree angle. You want this to be a 90-degree angle from the frame. What we're going to do now is, with a 5/8 inch impact socket, one of my favorite tools, by the way, the impact, we're going to go ahead and snug everything all nice and up. Now this impact wrench has 300 pounds, so you do not need to really drill it in. They bust bolts, I found that out the hard way. Okay, now what we're doing, we're gonna grab the 90-degree angle. I set it, the long end, I set it flat against the frame, and we're gonna put it against the shaft right here. Now what you want to do is we're going to knock this off so you can kind of see what we're talking about. Come over here, Carlos, shine down to where everybody can see. Can you see the gap that's right in here? We don't want that gap. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and tap it until everything is all nice and lined up. Now, me, I have to get my eyeglasses here to really. Okay. See, now it's getting closer. I'm going to hit it a little bit more. Get everything over. Lining everything up. See how it's going over? Right there. You got to get a little bit more over. Line everything up back here also. And now as you can see how we did it, you can see how there's no more gap in there. Now we got it all nice and lined up. I'm going to give it a few more little taps just for good luck because I did see a bit of a gap. Now there's none. The gap is completely gone. This shaft right here is a perfect 90-degree angle with the frame exactly how you want it. I'm going to snug up one of the bolts on the pillow block and loosen it up just a little bit, because what we're going to do now is you can see how the pillow block is not centered with the pillow block bearing. So we're going to put a little bit of pressure right here, tap this over, and all you really got to do is just eye the pillow block, and then if it looks good, which it does right here and right here, looks good, we'll leave that be. And I'm going to recheck, since I loosened up everything, recheck it because it did come off a little bit. So now we're going to knock this over a bit. And there we go. Right back to where it was. Reline that. We want to get everything nice and centered as best we can. There we go. Now I want to tighten this down, snug it down, not fully tightened, but it's not going to go anywhere, because what I want to do now is, over here, I like to set this, as you can see where you have the keyway, just barely past the collar. You can see you got barely just a gap, and that is good right there. Once we set that where you want it, I'm going to tighten down with an Allen wrench. I'm going to tighten it down. Well, I put some, as Carlos likes to call me, Bam Bam. I do put a little, well, a little strength behind it.
What was the
size of this one, they don't have the size, well, they did, but it's worn off in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm so used to, I just so familiar with the tools, I can just go grab it. I really don't even need to look at the size no more. And I kind of forgot the size. I want to say 5 something, but maybe not 5/32, but I actually did. That's what happens when you get used to your tools. All you gotta do is just reach and grab it, and then there it is. Okay, this is tightened up. The bolts are tightened. We got everything leveled. And now what we're gonna do is, we're gonna do the brake, which is over here. And tire braking is right here. You're gonna have a key. First, the key fits right in here. Have that go down like so. And then we have what we call the brake magnet. Now we're going to grab an Allen wrench. I'm gonna put that screw right here, go in there. And we
What
don't
size bolt is it?
This is a 1/4 bolt, or 1/4 I'm sorry, it's a 1/4, and it's a cap bolt with an Allen cap, with a lock washer and washer. Let me put that right there. Put the other one in there.
You didn't make it tight yet.
No, we don't make it tight because we still gotta center everything. I'm just putting them in there to hold the magnet somewhat in a position where we want it. And then we're going to, the armature and the harbor, it comes in 2 pieces. What we're going to do is we want to line, as you can see, you got like, looks like pretty much like gearing. You're going to line it up with the gearing that's in here. You line it up right there. Now it's not going to fit in good because you got a copper, and it's still is like I call it a spring washer. It's a cut, and what it is pressure that actually holds it in place. And you grab a rubber mallet, and you just ever so gently and lovingly tap this in place. That's all you got to do. Just, I mean, gently, lovingly. Then you line the keyway up to the key. Slide it on. Now you can see right here how we have a bit of a gap. So I already know I need to knock the pillow block towards me a little bit. So I'm going to loosen this up right here until you get a pretty good, where you see it like that, where there's no gaps. Just go ahead and tighten it up again. Just not super tight, but just enough to where it's not going to move.
There's no gap where, right?
Yeah, between right here. You see between the magnet and the armature.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on there till there's no gap, because we're lining this up right now. When I tighten this up, because everything's all nice and lined up, I'm going to tighten this up. I'm going to tighten this one up. And let's tighten this up. And we're going to tighten the last one up here. All right. Now, this gap right here looks real, you know, we're going to adjust that as soon as we tighten these up right here, because everything's looking really nice. And I just want to tighten everything up right there. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to hit the bolt with an impact wrench. 3/4 impact. Remember, 300 pounds. This, you don't need a lot. Okay. Now I grab a screwdriver and I'm just going to, whoa, see, I mean, everything's brand new, so everything's working beautifully. So you want to, about right there. Then what I do is I'll actually grab the sprocket and I'll spin it. And since if you would hear the armature hit the magnet, it'll make a scraping noise, such as well, this one's pretty even. You can barely hear that.
Yeah.
You can barely hear it. If you hear that, then just back it off a little bit. About right there's kind of, right there's kind of where you want it. Just go ahead and spin it. After you find your mark, we're going to go ahead and tighten up the set screws. Now on the other ones, it should look like this. You got where it's a 1/8, it says that. Made in USA, the most important part. But this is a 1/8 Allen wrench. All the other ones, well, I used them for so much that I literally wore them out. Okay, that's tightened. This is tightened. We hit that up. Now let's go ahead and hit the Allen wrenches with the on the collar. Yes, sir.
I'm standing out there in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Driveway.
Uh-huh. Oh, now that's tight.
The sun's passing through that fan, and it's hitting the corner of this box, and it looks like a gas flame flying up on the side of that box.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Almost called the fire department, huh?
The water company guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, I think you got a fire in there." He says, "You see any smoke?" And I go, "Yeah, I've seen that before. That's the spinning of the fan. Looks like it's a fire, but it's not."
That's Mark, our neighbor. We love him to death. Awesome guy. Yeah. Man, when he does the pictures for food, I swear to God, I get so hungry. He just does it so good. Okay, now we got everything on. I would actually take the time to try to go over my work, make sure I did not miss anything. We tightened the armature or the hub. We tightened the bolts, pill block. We tightened the bolts to the magnet. We tightened these the bolts with the bearing, and we tightened the collar set screws right here. We're good to go. Next step is, which is the limit switch bracket. We are going to be putting this on next. Just get the 3/4 impact. You start with 1/2 inch by 13 nut. Put it on there, and then you put on the lock washer. Come in, put it through the very top hole. We add a washer on this side, and we add a 1/2 inch 13 nut on here, just right there. What we do now is I always back it off. I always push this down right here until
Wait, I don't see.
you can see right here. I'm gonna have the J bolt right here. I'm gonna hit, and I'm gonna have it hit the one of the threaded nubs on the outer ring, and then I'm just gonna tighten this up. That's where we kind of want that. Raise it up. I'm gonna tighten this up. Okay, now we're gonna tighten this up, which is gonna set this back a little bit. But when you hit it like this, with all the room when it sets back, this ends up in a perfect position where it needs to be. Okay. Now, what I just did right there is I was tightening it, and you can hear the impact on and off, on and off. I'm just tapping it because I want to make this as level as I can to the eye. It doesn't need to be to where we need to get a leveler, but try to get this as level as we can. The next we're going to put on is the yoking system. The yoke is going to consist of a cotter pin and a 1/2 inch. What they call this is a 1/2 inch. It's an oval, which is an airplane nut. You can see that this is an oval. It's not perfectly squared, and you also got some plastic in there, so it really
Nylon.
makes a beautiful tight seal.
It's a nylon knot.
There you go. Carlos knows.
I ordered them.
When in doubt, ask Carlos.
Well, I don't know about
Okay, now a lot of times what happens when you put this on, you see how that does not line up. When that happens, just take this off, and all you got to do is just grab this, bend it up just a little bit like that. Whoa, okay, now that's a little too good right there. Look at that. Well, I wonder how long I've been doing this. So now we're going to grab a few washers. These are 1/2 inch washers. I put one in the middle, so because there's one welded on to the handle. So I want to match that up there so we get a nice even seal. And then the bottom piece, the small hole, goes on the smaller one. The big hole goes on the big one. There we go. A lot of times these are new parts, so you gotta work through the paint because the paint will make everything a little bit thicker. So right here, this is where talent comes in. Just go ahead and just start the bolt. And this took me a while, and I still have, sometimes I still have difficulties doing this, but it took me a while. And then that's on right there. Let's go ahead and we're going to add, so I don't like a lot of slop. So with the hole that you can see right here, I want to add as many washers as I can, because if it's too much, you're just not going to be able to fit this in, like right here. So just go ahead and just take one out, put the cotter pin in there, and grab needle nose pliers. Go right here, and we are going to. And all you got to do is just grab this and bend the cotter pin. I bend it until about right there so it won't fall out. And then what we grab is the D-wall, which is another one of my favorite tools, and a 1/2 inch socket. And make sure we put it on this, because what this does, this is the drill. That is just going to go all the way through, and that would bust bolts and everything. If we put it on here, got that, which means you can put in screws at 22 pounds. So we're going to put that on there. Once we have it like that, I back it up a little bit. Till you got just a little bit of play. Test it out a little bit. Running smooth and nice, the way we want it. Now everything's all nice and tight here. We got the cotter pin in with the washers. Okay, now we are going to put the limit switch box on itself, which is going to be these right here. We need all these little fun parts. Okay. The box you're going to get is going to come just like this. We're going to add a sprocket, which is the 3/4 35/18. It's all right there. And slide that on first. These holes are going to match up with these slots here. We have slots here, so adjusting the chain, make sure you don't have too much slop in the chain. Put that on right there. Then what we have, a chain plus a connecting link. It's all 35. That's what we need right there. Go over here.
Now you cut that prior to doing this. What size do you cut it to? The chain.
Oh, the chain? We have it marked. We did take a measurement, but we have it marked on the table. And I can, we'll drag you over there and I can show you where the marks are. So we put that on first, the connecting link goes on, which you can see it. What I did is I took the chain, I just put one right in the groove, and I put the other one right there. The connecting chain goes on first. Then you get one of the little face plates that goes on next. And then you have the connecting clip. That goes on last. Just put it on. And I use needle nose pliers. I know Chris, he never uses pliers. He does it with his hands. I mean, like snap, snap, super quick. And it's like, my God, man. I don't know. There's certain things I'm not going to be able to do. Now we get the level, and what we are going to do, and a screwdriver, we are now going to tighten the chain up and we're going to keep the box as level as we can. What I do is I put pressure on there, make it go up, and then I start moving right here. What that's going to do is that it's going to really put, while you have pressure pulling, it's really going to put the chain and put all the sprockets aligned with one another. Now I'm going to, as you can see, I'm trying to get that level as low as I can. Right there. And then what I do, I get a screwdriver. Now we got everything level, I'll get a screwdriver, place underneath the bracket, do not put a lot of pressure. Just do it enough to where you can actually see how the sprocket moved in its place, because if you have it, like I said, it's way over here, it's not going to work right. The sprockets will get all completely worn down super quick. So what I do is put pressure on there to make sure we get all the slack out of the chain. Then when you twist the chain and the motion that you do, it's going to line this sprocket up perfectly with that one because the chain is perfectly straight. Once when we get that, we love the way it looks. We love how it's nice and level. We get this on here. Now, a lot of people are cringing right now because this is aluminum and you don't want to tighten it too tight. And Carlos knows that. That's why he buys me all the good tools. Because I cannot tell you how many times I strip things out. We just set this at 22 pounds. That is a perfect torque for these bolts to be in this aluminum piece. Now that we got that done, we're going to get Allen wrench again, the 1/8 Allen wrench. Now on here, the worm shaft of the limit switch box, it has a flat to it. You can see that. Matter of fact, it's on both sides. Just grab. I like to line this bolt up. Either screw is okay, but for some reason, I like to line the flat piece up without the keyway, but it does not make any difference. That's just my preference. Tighten that down like so. Right here. Tighten that down like so. Make sure everything works fine, everything's moving smooth. And there you go with the mechanical part.
Part one.
Part one. Part two is coming up.
So on part two, what we do is we set up the
Idler
gear.
shafts.
The what?
The idler shafts?
Oh, the idler shafts.
Yeah, part
Okay.
two, we're putting the idler shafts on. I just gotta get everything.
Okay. I don't know when to stop it.
Unless you want to watch me grab the boxes,
Go ahead.
we'll cut right here and we'll continue as soon as I grab everything.